Welcome back to Briggs on Books, a truly international talk show where we talk to authors and editors and book publishers, people trying to be authors. There's so many elements to getting a book written, published, and out there. And my favorite part of this job is to talk to people who help other people get published. And our guest is Michelle Murray. And by the way, you're helping a lot of people, young people. I really appreciate what you're doing. Welcome, Michelle.
Oh, thanks so much for having me. As always, I love chatting with you.
Now,
so thanks for having me.
Before we get to what I want to talk about, I want to ask you a million questions on how you're helping these young people get their books out. But first, has your book come out?
So we got another week and a half. On the 21st, people are going to be able to get Two Junkies and a Demon wherever you like to get books, whether it's Target, Walmart, Barnes & Noble, anywhere. So, Yay, I'm excited about that.
I like to walk in a store and pick it up and hold it. Will that be? The physical book will be in the store.
Physical books, ebooks will be out as well.
Oh, nice. Ebooks. Who did the voice for your ebook?
So that's just like the.
Oh, that's not audio.
That's Kindle.
That's like Kindle. Okay.
I haven't done the audio book, but I tell you what, I do have a really great voice actress who has done books for me, and I do think I'm going to get her to do this one at some point.
I was going to say, you have a great voice.
Thank you.
So say the name of the book again, and tell us a little bit about it.
For your audience, it may shock you, but it's Two Junkies and a Demon, but really it's about redeeming yourself from the labels that society can put on you. It's a fictional tale. But you know, how often have any of us ever had a label slapped on us and we're like, well, that's not me. You don't really know me. I'm so much more than that. And so that's what these characters in this book are going through.
Yeah. And those labels you get put on you, they're very unfair and very hard to overcome. Mm-hmm. Now tell me about this program you're doing. You're helping young people. Tell me about that.
Right, and I'm super excited about that. So and it's my son and I, we actually have two programs. We teach adults. We've been teaching adults for more than 10 years who are interested in screenwriting or writing novels, even comic books. You know, we teach them the professional side of things so that they have a chance at a career. Because I firmly believe most people who want to do this simply don't have access to opportunity. Yeah. They don't know what to do, where to go, or even if they kind of do, they just don't have access. So we try to provide that. But what we started doing a few years ago, and we just ramped it up into an official thing with a name this summer, the Murray Micro School for the Arts, is I believe kids can excel. You hear me say it all the time. Kids can excel to the moon and back if an adult believes in them. Yep. I firmly believe that from the bottom of my heart. And it's a very rigorous program, just like it is for the adults. But we show them the standard. We hold them to the standard. And these kids deliver. I'm so excited. I have several. This summer, we had about 30 kids. And out of the 30, we had 8 who completed manuscripts that are worthy of being published at the professional level. Wow. And I think that's amazing. One of my students was 9 years old. Most are in their teens. The 9-year-old is an outlier. Most are in their teens, their early teens. But I just firmly believe in believing in children. So that's kind of what this program is about. We offer virtual education opportunities. We travel different schools we'll go to. And we also have our own locations, work with different chambers of commerce, like the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce, or even, in my hometown of El Paso, Texas, where, we'll travel and do different things on location. Because, again, I think it's that important to believe in children.
Yes. You said something before, maybe even before the interview started, about making sure they learn and understand professional standards. Tell me about that.
So, it's more, what I tell my students, it's more than just rolling out of bed and saying, oh, I have this story, let me slap it on some paper and see what happens, right? In the professional world, there's actually a little bit of science that goes behind it. Does it meet what we call arts plot structure? Does it have a discernible beginning, middle, and end? Are there key elements? Does it follow the hero's journey? Are there developed characters? Things like that are what we teach them about so that they can incorporate those things into their stories. And sometimes it's hard work at first, but with a little practice, they're great with that. And then I also teach everyone, whether it's adult or children, I teach them the business side. Now with the children, that's where I ask the parents, hey parents, if you're going to do this, I need you to learn this side of the business. And we teach about royalties, copyrights, intellectual property, even things like AI. Lately, we've been talking about what's going on in the world of writers' strikes, because that impacts us. The things that have been happening in that sphere impact all writers, actually.
Yeah.
So we just get them spun up on all of that so they can make informed decisions and choices, and they can be polished when they go forward, and they're not just blindly submitting things, whether it be to publishers or agents or what have you. We make sure that they are competitive.
Now, once you get a story written, and you describe it, beginning, middle, end, develop characters and stuff, and you've seen some of these kids get there, right?
Definitely. And it's amazing. I always say it's a beautiful day when I see these children achieving things that even some adults have said, oh, this is too hard. I'm going to give up. I'm not going to do it.
Now,
So this summer, I ran an adult program parallel to the children's program.
Right.
And the adults, at one of my classes, the adults all dropped out and said it was too hard.
Wow.
In the children's program, they all persevered, and again, 8 of them had professionally, written stories when they were finished. So kudos to those kids.
It's interesting. The kids didn't know it was too hard. The adults have been through life. Oh, it's too hard. But the kids didn't know. But once they finish the story, there's a whole new process after that about how you get it published, how you get it out there.
Right.
That's what's fascinating. That's where so many people, the story ends for them right there.
Exactly.
But
and that's the part where, and as far as I know, nobody else is really doing this part, but that's where we kind of hold their hand a little bit, so to speak. And first, I start teaching them the business side of things. And then from there, especially if it's a child, they and their families will make that decision, like, do we want to pursue publishing? Is this something that we want to do? We even go over basic contracts. I do tell them definitely get with a competent attorney to go through that, but we go through some basics so that they're a little more informed when they're trying to make these choices for, whether it's for an adult or the child in their life.
By the way, I have your website on the screen, kmpentertainment.org. Is that where people could find out more?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And if you go into the shop now, you can click on any of our courses and see a full course description.
Oh, that's good.
And they're segmented by category.
So you could actually sign up for a course there. So we don't have to be down in Hollywood or anything. We could be right here in our...
Correct. You would just
great.
sign up for a virtual program as opposed to something in person. Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask, but for a kid, can they sign up? But I guess kids are better with computers and stuff than grown-ups, so our kids could probably
as long as they have their parents' permission,
Yeah.
because that is something I do establish on day one. This past summer, I actually had a kindergartner who chose to sign up.
Yeah.
But thankfully on day one, I always say, okay, I need mom or dad or grandma or somebody who's responsible for you has to come to class day one. And for the children's programs, there are 3 days that are non-negotiable where parents have to participate.
Yeah.
And I let them know up front that if they don't participate, this is not going to be the program for them, because we're not your typical summer program or, after school program or the babysitter. This is for kids who, or, families who think they really may want to pursue this at some point professionally. And on those days where I require the parents to come, that's where we go over some of the initial business aspects, because this is very fast paced and it can literally sweep some parents off their feet if they don't know what to expect. So we go through all of that, and how does the money flow? How do you get paid? How's your child get paid? Do you need an agent? Different things. What's an entertainment attorney's role in all of this, if there is one? We go through all of that with the parent, but I do require the parents have to participate, because the truth of the matter is a child can only do so much. They have to have that proverbial village around them, because it's not legal for them to sign documents
There
for
you
starters. For starters. And then they're not going to understand the same way. They're not going to process things the same way that an adult does. So I do require adults participate with the child in the program.
Let me ask you this. I can understand a kid wanting to be a writer and dreaming of being a writer and say, I want to figure out how to do it and get there. But I want to talk about those other kids you mentioned earlier who never even thought that that's something that might be open to them.
And that's always amazing to watch those children. Some of the kids get so excited when they hear about our program. I write novels, but I also write children's books. And sometimes, this is really what sparked me to start this, sometimes I have children who come out when I have Matt the Cat book signings and whatnot, and they want to know, well, how did you do it? Oh, I would like to do that. Oh, can you tell my mom? But it's not a 5-minute conversation. No. So they get really excited when they find out there's a program they can learn. Every once in a while, I do have a child where kind of, okay, this is not for me, right? They're like, okay, this was cool for summer, too much work, I don't really want to do it. But for the most part, the kids, like you said, they don't realize it's hard. They're just doing it. And they're so competitive, even with themselves, right? They compete even with themselves. So they just get in there and do it. And I've had assignments where I think it's going to take them 2 or 3 hours to do it, and they're done in 30 minutes because they're so eager to get it done. So the kids are typically really excited. The ones that inquire are very excited.
Let me ask you that. I want to finish with your book in a minute that's coming out in a couple of weeks, but any other thoughts you want to share on this great program you're doing?
Listen, I just want to share to everybody, whatever arena it is, support a kid. Support a kid today, whatever it is. If you can be their cheerleader, trust me, that's going to stick with that child until they're a little gray-haired person.
Nice.
And it will make a difference in their lives. And believe it or not, their kids' lives, their grandkids' lives, because you believed in them. So that's all I have to say about that. Just please believe in a child.
All right. Just finish up with telling us when your book's coming out, the name of it, a little bit about it. And we're way over time, but you inspire me so much, Michelle. I love to talk to you.
Thank you. So 2 Junkies and a Demon, again, the 21st. It'll be available wherever books are sold, ebooks and physical books. And this one I'm actually very excited about also because it's my first foray into fantasy. Now, it's real people in a real city, but I have an angel who falls from heaven. I have a demon who falls from heaven because they're having a war, and they tumble into the world of this, quote, junkie. But all 3 of them, they've been a little unfairly labeled. Our angel, she's not always angelic. She knows she has some anger issues and some other things to deal with, right? Our demon is actually more of a follower in the past, not really bad at heart, right? And then our junkie, well, she was involved in some bad things, but despite trying to turn her life around, society slapped that label across her forehead, and she can't seem to shake it. But the 3 of them have to work to solve an event that if they don't get it together and believe in themselves, that's the bottom line. They have to realize they're more than those labels, and they've got this. If they don't, it's going to be detrimental to all humanity, but I don't want to spoil the book too much. So I'm super excited about that.
Very good. Michelle, thank you for coming on. For our viewers, go to kmpentertainment.org. They can find your book there, right?
Yes, absolutely. They'll be able to see everything there.
And also figure out how you could get a writing class. It's fun. It's fun to be an author. Look how much fun Michelle has.
It is.
We will be back with more Briggs on Books right after this.
Thanks.
All right,
Thanks
Michelle.
so much for having me.